It is Valentine's Day, the year 2000, in a small rural town called Shelby, North Carolina. Inside a modest house on a quiet road, a 9-year-old girl named Asha Degree is asleep in her bed. Her father checks on her at 2:30 in the morning, just like he does every night. She's there. She's fine. He goes back to sleep thinking nothing of it. By 6:30 that morning, she is gone. Not missing from the yard. Not gone to a neighbor's house. Gone. Vanished from a locked home in the middle of the night, in the middle of a storm, without a trace of forced entry, without a note, without a single obvious reason why. And what makes this case one of the strangest unsolved disappearances in American history isn't just that she disappeared. It's what she did in the hours before she vanished. Because Asha didn't wander off in confusion. She planned this, or someone planned it for her. Before she left, Asha rearranged stuffed animals in her bed to make it look like she was still sleeping under the blankets. She packed a backpack, not with random items, but with things a person might take if they intended to be gone for a while. Clothes, candy, a hair bow, family photographs. She took the batteries out of a small television and put them in a radio instead, like she wanted music or noise for the road ahead. Then, sometime before dawn, this small 9-year-old girl walked out of her house into a violent thunderstorm and started walking down North Carolina Highway 18. Truck drivers on that road that night remember her. One driver said he saw a small figure walking through the rain around 3:15 in the morning, and he almost didn't believe what he was seeing. A child, alone, soaked, walking along the shoulder of a highway in the dark. When one motorist slowed down and tried to approach her, Asha didn't scream for help. She didn't ask for a ride. She ran. She bolted off the road and disappeared into the trees along the highway. That single detail is the reason this case has haunted investigators, journalists, and true crime audiences for over 2 decades. Because a lost child usually runs toward a stranger for help, Asha ran away from one. Her parents woke up around 6:30 that morning and found her bed empty, the stuffed animals arranged to look like a sleeping child. They called the police immediately. What followed was one of the largest search efforts Cleveland County had ever seen. Bloodhounds, search dogs trained to detect human remains, horseback teams, all-terrain vehicles, divers checking nearby creeks and ponds, helicopters scanning the tree line, and officers going door to door across the county. For 2 weeks, hundreds of people searched the woods, the fields, the water. They found nothing. Then, a day after she disappeared, searchers found something chilling in a shed near where witnesses last saw her. Candy wrappers, a hair bow, small things that confirmed she had been right there in that exact spot, and then gone. A year later, in 2001, construction workers about 40 miles away in Burke County uncovered something else. Asha's backpack, wrapped tightly in black plastic and buried in the ground. Inside were her belongings, the very things she had packed that night. It was proof that whatever happened to her, whoever was involved, had taken the time to drive her belongings far from where she disappeared and deliberately conceal them. That is not the behavior of a lost child, and it is not really consistent with a random accident either. It suggested planning. It suggested someone wanted this hidden. For years the case went cold. Detectives followed hundreds of tips. A suspect surfaced in 2014 but led nowhere. The FBI kept the case open, offering rewards that eventually grew into the tens of thousands of dollars. Asha's parents, Harold and Asha Degree, never stopped believing she might still be alive somewhere. Her mother said publicly, year after year, that she refused to believe a 9-year-old could simply vanish into thin air without somebody, somewhere, knowing something. For 20 years, that's exactly what it felt like. A void, no arrests, no answers, just a grainy composite sketch, a missing girl, and a community that never forgot. And then, starting in 2024, everything changed. Investigators executed a series of search warrants tied to a family in Cleveland County, the Deadmans. According to court documents made public that year, DNA evidence connected Asha's belongings, specifically her shirt and the plastic bag her backpack was wrapped in, to members of this family. At the time of Asha's disappearance in 2000, 3 Deadman sisters were teenagers, ages 15 and 16. Investigators noted in their filings that because of the sisters' ages back then, any involvement would likely have required help from an adult in the household to carry out or conceal what happened. Search teams seized phones, searched multiple properties, including a home in Shelby and an assisted living facility, and towed away a green 1964 AMC Rambler with front-end damage. A car investigators said shared very similar features to the 1970s Lincoln Thunderbird or similar green vehicle that witnesses reported seeing Asha pulled into that night decades earlier. One of the Deadman daughters reportedly admitted during questioning that she had driven that Rambler back in 2000. By September 2024, investigators stated in warrant filings that they now believe Asha was the victim of a homicide and that her body was deliberately concealed. It's important to say clearly, as of now, no one has been arrested or formally charged in connection with her disappearance. The family named in these warrants has publicly denied any connection to the case. This remains legally an open and unresolved investigation, not a solved one. Still, the searches have continued into 2025 and 2026, with law enforcement expanding into neighboring Lincoln County, examining more properties, and reportedly recovering text messages in later warrants that investigators describe as fearful in tone, along with what they characterized as a possible admission tied to the case. The reward for information leading to answers has climbed past $100,000 combined from the FBI, the state, and the local community. So why has this case captivated so many people online over 25 years later? Because almost every piece of it resists a simple explanation. Why would a 9-year-old girl secretly pack a bag, arrange decoy stuffed animals, and slip out of a locked house in a thunderstorm? Why did she run from someone offering help instead of toward them? Who buried her backpack 40 miles away, wrapped in plastic, a year later? And after 2.5 decades of silence, why is new evidence only surfacing now? Nobody currently has all the answers. Somewhere, someone may still know exactly what happened on that highway in the rain. Asha Degree would be in her 30s today. Her parents are still waiting, and the investigation, quietly and steadily, is still moving forward. If you have any information related to this case, you're encouraged to contact the FBI or the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. Someone out there knows something. It's time for that silence to end.